This is kind of like a bridal disaster story.
Oh my gosh. How should a bride prepare for her hair trial?
My phone is ringing nonstop and I'm getting text, email.
Would you say, do they damage your hair?
Yeah, I know this is super controversial, but like,
is it okay to do a trial and then decide if you want to book the hairstylist?
We basically offer 3 methods in salon.
So would you rather work with a bridezilla who pays you triple or a super chill bride who tips nothing? Welcome to Wedding Wednesday, the podcast that's about to spill all the tea on what it's like to plan a wedding from the bride's perspective and all the details no one talks about. I'm creating the podcast I need to keep me sane and feeling less alone as I plan my own wedding. We're diving deep into the hilarious, messy, and sometimes crazy world of wedding planning and wedding horror stories. Get ready to laugh, cry, and maybe feel a little less alone in this wedding planning madness. Hello. Welcome back to Wedding Wednesday. My name is Adriana, and today's episode is all about hair, bridal hair, and hair extensions. I have on the hair extension queen here in Montreal to talk through all things hair extensions and what you need to know when it comes to your bridal hair and your bridal hair extensions. Spoiler alert, they're almost non-negotiable for almost every single bridal hairstyle. So I'm super excited to talk through that. With that, let's welcome our guest today, Melanie. Hi, Melanie. How are you?
Hi, Adriana. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm super excited really to talk to you through like all the things hair extensions, because personally, like this is something I'm going through right now, like trying to figure out what hairstyle I want, like what kind of hair extensions I want. So maybe before we dive into all that stuff, tell me how you even got your start in the hair industry.
Yeah, so funny enough, my start was actually so not in the hair industry. I come from a corporate background, so I went to school for commerce and finance, worked in HR, and my passion though on the side was always doing hair. And so that went from becoming a side hustle at one point to now becoming my full-time business. So
okay.
Yeah.
So did you go to hair school at all?
I did. So I did hair extension school, but I did not do any like formal hairdresser training. It was really more like on the job training.
Okay.
And learning as you go. And definitely now my specialization is in extensions. So my hair salon ExtensionsMTL only does hair extensions.
So why hair extensions? Like tell me what it was about hair extensions that you loved and you wanted to go into that.
So for me, it was about my personal journey with hair extensions at first. Like I've worn them since I was 14, 15 years old, since I can first remember, sewing clips onto hair. I would by myself. And I continued wearing those well into my 20s. And I started looking for another alternative, something a little bit more permanent. I had extensions applied by other people, and I never quite really liked that final outcome, the final look, whether it was, it wasn't comfortable or there wasn't enough hair, or I thought, oh, she could have maybe put it higher up or lower down. And so I started doing my own myself. And I decided at that point, okay, maybe I'm going to look into this a little bit more. I feel like I'm really enjoying this. This is quickly becoming my passion. And I worked in nightlife at the time throughout university, and I started doing some of my colleagues in nightlife's hair, obviously, unofficially. And it really just grew from there. So it was a side hustle. And then eventually it was my 5 to 9 after work and my all weekend until it just became kind of a little bit too much. And then it just became this full time.
It just like grew. I love that. Yeah. Did you start doing it from home first? And then, so you like slowly built and then moved into your own place?
Yeah. So I started doing it from home at first, and then I became mobile. So I would go to people's homes, and then that became kind of a bit too much because you can't take as many clients in a day.
Right.
So I went back to doing it from home. And then eventually during COVID is when I had to move out and like find my own little space.
Okay.
Just due to obviously everything that happened with the pandemic. My boyfriend at the time worked from home. So it just logistically didn't work. And it was kind of that last little push I needed actually. So I kind of thank COVID for that.
Yeah. No, and like I can't wait to actually go and visit your salon because it looks beautiful. I've seen it online. But tell us a bit about, all the different types of hair extensions that are available on the market and how to know what is kind of like a good fit for your hair or your hairstyle, whatever you're thinking of.
Yeah. So in terms of what's available on the market altogether, we would be here until tomorrow if I told you about all the different methods. There are so many. I'll speak to what we offer in the salon and how we go about kind of, choosing what's right for our guest. First things first, there's a free consultation that you can book. So during that 30-minute consultation, we answer any questions that you might have as a guest. And we really just evaluate your lifestyle, your natural hair health, your goals. Obviously, what your starting point is and what that final kind of goal is. And based on all those factors, obviously, do you want to come into the salon more often? Do you have the budget to do that? We, based on all those factors, pick a method that's just best suited for you.
Okay.
And then from there, that's where we would like book your next, your actual application appointment. We order the hair. And we basically offer 3 methods in salon. So we have our wefts, which is our like beaded sew-in method.
Okay. So that's like more permanent.
All of our methods, I would say, are pretty permanent, but we also offer non-permanent methods as well. So from our permanent methods, we have wefts. And wefts we have so many different subtypes of wefts, so I won't get too much into that. But we have our flex weft, we have our volume weft, we have infinity wefts. And then we offer tape extensions as well as keratin extensions. And our keratin extensions, those are like the little individual ones. We can customize those into like the smallest of little small pieces for, to be honest, the most difficult hair types. So we work with MELANIE Hair, which is like our supplier. I'm an educator for them as well. And they really have like the best available hair on the market. They have the best quality and the best color selection. And they also offer clip-ins and halos. So we do have those non-permanent options for, a client that just wants something for like a day event, a weekend event, maybe like a bachelorette or a wedding.
Right.
So at the consultation is where we can assess kind of your hair needs and what best suits that.
Okay. So would you say that the permanent, this is like a question a lot of people ask, okay? The permanent ones.
Yep.
Would you say, do they damage your hair?
Yeah, that's like the number one question we get.
I'm sure it is.
Does it damage and how much? That's pretty much the 2 questions. So the answer is a little bit complicated, but the short answer is no. However, they have to be applied by someone who knows what they're doing, so a professional. They have to be maintained properly at home, and they have to be removed by a professional.
Okay.
So when I say professional, I mean the person that's doing your extensions is going to choose the right method and the right amount of hair for you. So for instance, someone who has super fine hair, like their whole head is this much amount of hair, probably shouldn't be wearing, 200, 300 grams of hair. And they need to have it applied properly and the right method for their lifestyle. So where we see damage is them not being applied properly or a client going home and, not using the right products, not brushing, it getting matted, tangled, people going to bed with their hair wet, things like that. And we have some DIYers, people that, try to remove them alone at home. That can cause damage as well.
For sure.
So if they're applied properly, maintained properly, and removed properly, there really is no risk of damage.
Okay. Curious, what are you wearing today in your hair?
I am wearing our MELANIE 20-inch infinity wefts. So they're sew-in wefts.
Okay.
So I'm wearing 2 rows, and I'm wearing it in the shades. We actually custom colored my top row, so it's a bit of a special shade. It's in the color walnut brown, ash blonde, and my other row is our 24 karat glimmer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you put them in yourself, or do you have to have somebody else do that?
No. Those days are long gone.
Okay.
I have a wonderful team that put them in, and actually we're redoing all of our hair tomorrow. So
it's so fun.
Yeah, we'll have a little behind the scenes hair day.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take like a bride's perspective. Let's take my perspective, literally. Okay, I've never been engaged before. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with my hair. I have an idea of a style I want.
Yeah.
It will require hair extensions because I have very thin hair, and you can't tell as much because I have curly hair.
Yeah.
But when it gets straight, I have this amount of hair. Like it's very not much. So let's say I come into your salon. I want to get maybe clip-ins, maybe permanent. Like, how would you walk me through my needs with like my wedding day hair in mind?
Yeah. That's a really good question. And I think can be really intimidating for a lot of people that come in the salon. Like they don't even know what to ask.
Yeah.
So we make that process really easy because we've got like a little consultation guide that we go through, but we also feel it out based on, whatever our guest is bringing in terms of inspiration.
Yeah.
So the first thing we'll do is just assess, okay, what do you not like about your hair?
Okay.
And if it's, for instance, like I'm hearing you right now say that you think your hair is fine, you feel like it's not as full as you want it.
Right.
So that's the number one thing we're going to address.
Okay.
And then from there, usually we ask them to bring in like an inspiration picture.
Yep.
And we'll kind of just assess, okay, what your natural hair is now and what that inspiration picture looks like. And we make a roadmap to get there.
Okay.
So for instance, for you, if in your case,
let's just say I want a half up, half down.
Yeah. And you're showing me this, like, I don't know, let's say mid-length, voluminous look.
Yeah.
I would suggest, okay, well, because you're going to be doing a half up, half down, well, first of all, we need to assess, do you want to wear these extensions outside of your wedding day?
I'm going to say no for now.
Okay. So just a 1-day thing.
Like I'm new to this. So this is scary. This is like uncharted territory.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, let's just dip my feet So that means for me, like just the one day for now.
So the first thing I hear with that is, okay, we're a little bit nervous. We don't want to jump into anything too permanent.
Yeah.
So I would definitely go with clip-ins.
Okay.
And what's beautiful about clip-ins is that you can install them yourself. So let's say you have bridal events leading up to your wedding, your bachelorette, if you're doing a bridal shower, if you're just, I don't know, just going out on the town and you want to have some extensions in, those are things that you can apply yourself.
True. Okay.
So I would probably opt for a clip-in moment, and whoever's doing your hair on your wedding day will, know how to use clip-ins in your hair so they can help you with that.
Do they though?
I would make sure that you're booking a stylist who has experience with clip-ins.
Okay.
And my number one piece of advice to brides out there is like, do your research on the people who are going to be doing your services the day of. I joked that like for me, the order of sequence was like, in terms of importance, was like my husband, the actual groom, my hair, and then everything else. Like anything else going wrong that day was fine. But as long as I had my husband in my hair, we were good to go.
I love that.
So for me, that was my top priority. And so I had to pick someone who I felt really confident with doing my hair. And I always tell brides, do a trial.
Talk through this. Okay. Yeah. Let me just tell you my perspective for a second. Okay. I've done 2 hair trials.
Okay.
Different hairstylists. They used clip-ins.
Yeah.
And the first one, the clip-ins fell out. They were not 2 hours later, I felt like my hair was falling out. The second one, I had told her that, so she put less clip-ins. So they stayed in my hair all day, but it looked less full.
I can promise you. So Vanessa, my hairstylist who did my hair for my wedding, I had in the same amount of extensions as I do now, plus 2 full packs of our clip-ins. So for anyone who speaks hair grams, like that was over 500 grams of hair. I slept in that hair because I fell asleep in it, woke up and my hair still looked fabulous. So I 100% recommend like really looking into someone who's very expert level with clip-ins, because they should not be slipping out. So how do you start your
research? That's the thing. I think like that was one thing that I was wondering. Like I just was like, I see on Instagram, bridal hairstylist, I'm DMing them. We're booking a hair trial. And that kind of ends there, the research, if you will. Yeah. What would you suggest somebody does to take it a step further to make sure that the research is complete before they move forward with a trial?
For sure. I mean, if I'm going to do research, I'm going to go on all the social media channels. So I'm going to look at their website. I'm going to look at their TikTok. I'm going to look at their Instagram. I'm going to look if we have friends in common, who's following. I'm going to look through their profile and see if I know any of the brides or if I know any of the people that are in those pictures. I mean, you can reach out to those people too. Hey, I noticed that. I've had people reach out to me about different vendors I've had and say, hey, I noticed that you use so-and-so, or I noticed that you follow so-and-so. Yeah. What was your experience like? Would you recommend it? And then go from there. Like, I'm not shy about saying whether I had a positive experience or not.
Okay.
I loved every single person that worked on my wedding, by the way. So if you're following me and you saw that, I 100% recommend everyone. But don't be nervous about trying out and doing multiple trials with multiple people. And like myself as a stylist, if someone chose not to go with me, I would not be offended. I just would assume like they just didn't.
It just didn't vibe.
It just didn't vibe, and that was totally fine. But something else I wanted to touch on was that we also have curly extensions. Yeah. So I'm looking at your beautiful curls.
Tell me. What would you recommend for my curls if I wanted more hair?
Well, we do have a lot of brides that want to wear their natural curls. And being that I have curly hair myself, though not as beautiful and curly as yours, it was really important to me to be able to find curly hair, to be able to offer that, because as you know, like growing up with curly hair, especially, I think you're probably in the same age range as I am, probably spent the first 15 years of your life straightening it and trying to mask the curls.
Trying to do something to it, for sure.
For sure, right? And like it feels nice to be able to embrace your natural texture and enjoy wearing it. Yeah. And I find that most of my guests who end up opting for curly extensions feel like, wow, this is like, they feel like it's the hair they were supposed to be born with. You know, a little extra fullness, it just completely changes the vibe of curls. So we do have some brides that want to wear their natural curls on their wedding day, and that's totally an option.
So do you do clip-ins for curls? Is that an option, or do you have to do more of the permanent, semi-permanent options?
So it is. However, so as of right now, I think by the time this episode comes out, MELANIE will have just launched our textured clip-ins. Okay. So it is an option. However, they are only available in like darker tones right now. So you would be a match. They just don't have anything above, I would say, like a medium brown right now. Okay. But we can turn in any of our permanent extensions like into clip-ins if that was something that somebody wanted.
Okay. So let's say I wanted something permanent for my wedding. What does permanent mean? Like when do I have to come back into the salon to get it like retouched up?
Yeah. So we have several options. So we have our reusable methods and then we have our non-reusable methods. So our keratin extensions, otherwise known as our K-tips, those are like those little individual ones. Yeah. They're adhered to the hair using hot fusion. And those will stay in the hair anywhere from 2 to 4 months, I would say, just depending on like how thick your natural hair and how healthy it is. And so those are the longest lasting ones. So technically up to 4 months. So a lot of our brides will opt for that, from pretty much their bridal shower and bachelorette up until the wedding.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
They can wear it through their honeymoon and, enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
And then our other methods, so our wefts and our tapes, those usually you need to come into the salon about every 6 weeks, I would say.
Okay.
And what's nice about those is like, you can remove them, take a break, and then come back. So it's you've got options, and it really just depends based on like pretty much your lifestyle and what you feel comfortable committing to.
Can you swim with them?
You absolutely can.
Okay.
Though I don't recommend, my Olympic swimmers to wear extensions.
Fair enough.
But a little dip now and again is not the end of the world. It's just about protecting them.
Okay.
So like, for instance, like when I was away on vacation, when I got engaged, I was wearing a lot of extensions and I did not stop myself from
swimming,
cannonballing into the ocean.
Okay.
But just making sure you're applying like a leave-in conditioner and coating your hair before you get into the water so that you don't have any issues. The main thing is actually sunscreen, funny enough. That's where we see the most issues is that typical like chemical sunscreen ingredients can turn extensions pink and orange, especially the blondes. We do have like a little remedy for that, but obviously you don't want to spend your vacation with like pink and orange hair. So
obviously,
use a mineral sunscreen if you have hair extensions. It's super important. So anything that's like zinc based is safe.
Okay. That's good to know. I want to circle back to the clip-ins for a second. The two hairstylists who put in the clip-ins in my hair, they teased my hair to put it in.
Okay.
Is that the only way to put in clip-ins?
So there's a couple of ways. I would definitely recommend teasing a little bit, but using some sort of like volumizing or texturizing powder is super important. So you kind of create almost like a little textured base by backcombing, texturizing, backcombing, texturizing again. And so I know for myself, Vanessa actually also bobby pinned in the clip-ins.
Okay.
So not only were they clipped in, but they were also pinned down.
They were like held in there.
They were not moving. And anyone who was there on my wedding day could attest to the fact that I did not, I wasn't like immobile all day. I definitely danced and moved my head around and I had no issues.
Yeah. You had the Hollywood waves,
yes,
right? For your wedding. They were so beautiful.
Thank you.
They really were. Tell me with the Hollywood waves, when the stylist puts it together, is it like locked in? Like, is it not moving or can it move and like not unravel, if you will?
Yeah. So it really depends on the stylist you're going with and how they're setting it.
Okay.
So you've got that like wavy look that you can then move around, but that's going to look messy after a while. For me, the whole aesthetic I wanted was that like old Hollywood like perfect hair all day. So we decided on every single detail at my trial, which side was going to be in front, which side was going to be in back. And that's how it had to stay all night. So like, I still remember Vanessa's words in my head saying, move like a royal, act like a royal. You're just moving kind of your whole upper body at the same time.
Right.
So I did look a little stiff, I would say, until like the party started, but my hair stayed pristine. So just deciding like what side you want in front. Because I have a lot of brides that will say, okay, I like that look where all my hair is in front.
Yeah.
But all your hair is going to be in front then all night and we're not going to see your beautiful dress.
Right.
Same thing if you want your hair in the back. If you have like a statement, let's say a low back or something or like a lace back, then you won't see it. So usually that one piece in the front and then kind of the other chunk in the back tends to look like just the most organic and natural. And then you can still see the hair, but you still see the dress.
True. And let's say I want to be able to have my hair be a bit more fluid, if you will. Then what kind of curl, will it look messy, first of all? And second of all, if not, what kind of curl should we ask for?
So a Hollywood wave is meant to basically not move. Like that wave is meant to just stay perfectly waved, glossy, and almost move like a wig. You know what I mean? Locked in.
Yeah.
I would say if you're looking for something a bit more fluid, then just do like a classic curl.
Okay.
However, what I would suggest is either having your hairstylist come and do a touch up for you or have someone maybe in your bridal party
just help you
and like just comb it through or brush it out at some point, because just how, at the day's end, you've got to brush your natural hair out. Like when I go home, my hair's not going to look like this if I'm not brushing it, right?
Yeah.
It's still going to look good, but this is like an elevated look on your wedding day.
Right.
So definitely have someone who's going to be there to be able to like brush it out a little bit or just comb out any little tangles that happen throughout the day.
Okay, good to know. When it comes to the trial, I've been experiencing a few different things. For you, do you think it's normal or like industry standard to book the hairstylist for your wedding day before you do a trial? Or is it okay to do a trial and then decide if you want to book the hairstylist for the wedding day?
Well, for me, definitely the latter, because I want to feel comfortable knowing that I feel comfortable with the stylist before I put down that money and do a deposit.
Yeah.
I know some people don't work that way. And
no, a lot don't.
Yeah, I totally respect everyone's different styles.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I don't want to do a bride's hair who doesn't want me to do their hair, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
I've never had anyone I don't do a ton of bridal work, to be honest, because I educate a lot on weekends. So I really only open like 6 to 10 Saturdays a year or weekend dates for weddings.
Yeah.
And in my experience, mostly my current clients that book me. So there's not really that conversation that we need to have. They already know.
They already know you.
We still do a trial just for the actual style.
For sure.
But in terms of that, it's not really the way that I operate.
Yeah.
But I personally, as a bride, needed to do trials with everyone before I booked them.
Okay.
I think I actually booked Vanessa without a trial because I just knew that she was going to be able to kill the hair look for sure.
Yeah.
But everyone else, I did multiple makeup trials until I found the person I was most confident with. And Mikey did my makeup. He was incredible. I'm so happy with everyone. Even my photographers, we did an engagement shoot before we booked. I think personally, I would definitely do a trial before booking people. That's just my personal opinion. Leading up to the wedding, I had so much anxiety about the different vendors I was going to choose. And last minute, we switched photographers, and I was so happy in the end that we ended up doing that.
Okay.
I don't know that I would have had that same confidence if I hadn't done a trial.
Okay. Really good to know as a bride, working with vendors, speak to your vendors, work with them before you book them, because otherwise you want to make sure you did your due diligence before the big day.
Yeah. And I know I had a wedding planner, which was fantastic, but for very specific things, I was extremely type A. I had a true vision for our pictures and my makeup and my hair. And I knew that if those things didn't turn out, I was going to be really disappointed.
For sure.
And so I just picked those things that were the most important to me, really articulated a vision to them.
Yeah.
I know for our engagement shoot, we used Lex and Ben. They were amazing. And I sent Lex my whole Pinterest board. And if I showed you shot by shot, they literally
really
copy pasted pretty much. It was identical, perfect, exactly the shots, the lighting, down to the locations were perfect.
Wow,
so I feel if you choose someone who really truly understands your vision, you're not going to be disappointed.
Right.
But give them a chance to show you that, right?
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
Have you ever witnessed a situation with a bride where it just didn't go to plan when it came to her hair extensions?
Yeah, actually, this is kind of like a bridal disaster story.
Oh my gosh, please tell us.
Yes, and it was so funny. So this was 2 years ago, and it was actually on my birthday. This is why this story really resonates with me. And it was, my birthday's on the long weekend in May. And so my husband was like, let's just spend the day, turn off your phone. Let's just enjoy the day. We actually weren't married yet, but anyways, my phone is ringing nonstop. And I'm getting text, email, booking. I'm getting notifications through my website. Someone is trying to reach me.
Clearly,
I check my voicemail and it's a guy.
Okay.
And he is whispering, but distraught. And he is telling me, you can tell he's whispering because his fiance or someone is in the other room. And he's like, this is an emergency. Please call me back. My fiance just got her hair cut and we are getting married next weekend. And she is bawling, uncontrollably bawling.
Oh no.
He's like, I will pay anything. I will do anything. And my husband right away, I looked at him and he was like, you have to call him back.
Yeah.
He sensed his distress. He was mano to mano, you got to call him. He felt his stress through the phone. So I pick up the phone, I call him and he's like, so basically, long story short, this bride had gone to her normal hair salon.
Okay.
But her usual hairstylist wasn't working there anymore. So she thought, girls, don't get a haircut before the wedding. Please.
Yeah.
Do not embark on new hair journeys before your wedding. Just not getting a facial the week before your wedding. But anyways, so I call him and she had gotten her haircut by a new stylist the week before. And she told me, while the person was cutting her hair, they were going oops, or, oh, we'll even that out. And then at one point, the hair that started here ended up around here.
No.
And this beautiful lady had the thickest ponytail I've ever seen, the most stunning hair.
Oh my gosh.
And her dream hair was this I think a half down, half updo. I wasn't doing her bridal hair.
Okay.
But she just came to me and, we realized we can't do her hair. She can't do that hairdo because it's just too choppy and it's
poor her.
She actually left during the haircut. So they didn't even finish the haircut on her.
Yeah.
So of course it's like Murphy's Law. That's the 1 week that like all my hair orders are late. I ended up driving like 3 hours to a different supplier to find the hair, come home, and the actual hair was on my doorstep. It was this whole fiasco.
Oh my God.
All that to say, we got her hair in. It looked absolutely stunning.
Oh, thank God.
But it was just, I've never heard a panic call like that before.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So all is well that ended well. And it was amazing. But yeah, I've never felt so stressed for a bride in my life.
For sure. I would have been stressed too. Like just hearing your story was stressful.
Oh yeah. And
my goodness.
Yeah. So yeah.
But that's amazing. You came in, you saved the day, and it was like your birthday, like magic that you came in, you got to help somebody. So that's all is well that ends well, like you said.
100%. And I was like, how did you even find my information?
Yeah. He must have looked at you on Instagram, like extensions.
I think he went on Google. He just was like Extensions Montreal. And then like, there you go. I popped up.
Well, that's perfect. Like SEO, you know, like you're popping up right there. Like that's amazing.
Yeah. No, it was, thank goodness.
Crazy. Well, we have a few more listener questions.
Okay.
That I'd like to run past you.
Sure.
So we'll kind of go through them one by one. Okay, so what hairstyles are you recommending for a summer wedding where it's going to be really hot?
So I'm loving a good updo moment for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think like a beautiful French twist. I think it depends on obviously the venue and the dress for sure. But I'm seeing a lot of French twists. And I actually did a French twist for my rehearsal dinner night. And it was so amazing because I could dance the night away, not worry about sweating. We use clip-ins for that too.
Okay.
Yeah. And definitely a beautiful French twist for sure.
Amazing. Can you get away with an updo without extensions, or you would say no?
You can. What most stylists will use is like these little like hair donuts. They'll kind of deconstruct and create volume. But I would say if you're looking for something really impactful and something really full, definitely just 1 or 2 pieces of hair extension goes a long way.
Okay. Good to know. Very good to know. How should a bride prepare for her hair trial or hair extensions like the night before you put them in?
Definitely clean hair. Make sure that your color is the color that you want, right? So if you're due for highlights, get your highlights done because the look can look super different if you're not at that desired hair color.
That makes sense.
Obviously, listen to whatever your hairstylist is recommended, but normally I have brides wash their hair the night before, just so that there is like a time. It's not like freshly washed, and also wash their hair extensions the night before. So if they have clip-ins that they're using, make sure they wash them, that they're dry and ready to go.
Conditioner or no conditioner?
This is very individual to each stylist. I personally have them just condition their ends.
Just the ends?
Yeah.
Okay. So where would I buy extensions if I wanted to get extensions?
With me. So basically, I would suggest if you're interested in doing hair extensions, book a consultation. So on our website, there is an option for booking like a regular hair extension consultation, a clip-in consultation. All of our stylists are fantastic. I often get questions like people want to book directly with me. My stylists are amazing at the salon. They do my hair. So if I trust them.
Do you train your stylists?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm an educator with Bellamy. And actually, funny enough, Gabrielle and Emmy, my 2 stylists at the salon, are both like ex-students of mine from when I taught. So yeah, it happened super organically. It was amazing, but they're all incredible stylists.
I'm sure. And you seem like you would really vet everybody who's going to work for you. So,
oh yes.
Or with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually also work with an incredible sales rep for Bellamy, Brittany. And she's like, she will get that hair to us, regardless of the situation. Yeah. Like we have anything as quick as like a 48-hour turnaround. So definitely, So book a consultation.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Did you find Bellamy or did they find you? Like, how did you find that it was them for you,
So many years ago, I was using their clip-ins and one of the sales reps at the time who worked for the company was like, hey, would you be interested in me sending you like a pro coloring, like for their professional hair? And so I used it and I fell in love with the hair right away. They've got so many different color options and lengths and methods. And this is like 2018. This is a long time ago when they first came out. So obviously it has just continued to get better over the years. And then not too long after that, they were doing an educator search. And so I applied, I got selected, and now I'm like one of their premier educators that help teach other educators as well.
I love it.
Yeah.
So What kind of hairstyles do you recommend for a bride with curly hair for her wedding day? She wants to wear her natural curls. What kind of style would you recommend?
I'm like loving the updos right now. I think they look super chic. I would say it depends on the bride because some brides don't want to do anything too fancy and others, this is like the one day that they want to go all out and not that they don't want to look like themselves, but they want to just look different, right?
Yeah.
So I would say definitely a half up, down, half up, half down,
half down.
a full updo, or even just wearing like beautiful natural curls can look stunning. I just think it just like depends on the dress. But
would you do face framing pieces with curls, or you would pin it back, you think?
Again, it depends on their facial structure.
Okay.
It depends on if you're doing a veil or not. Like there are a lot of considerations. So that's actually a good thing to think about too. If you're doing a veil, that this whole part is going to be concealed. If you're doing a long veil and thinking about, when you're going to remove it, what do you want that hair to look like underneath? But there's so many beautiful curly options for sure.
Actually, I saw like a trend on TikTok, I think it was, where the stylist would put a braid behind the hair to put the veil.
Yeah.
Would you recommend doing that?
So in my own hair, I had like the Hollywood wave. So like nothing could be disrupted under there. So Vanessa, my stylist, just really teased like the underlayer.
Okay.
And so we clipped it into the underlayer of my hair. And then it was just really easy to pop it out.
Okay.
But definitely it's like a 2 or 3 person job to remove the veil for sure.
Yeah.
To make sure you're not messing up the hair.
For sure.
Yeah.
If a curly-haired girly like myself wants more straight hair on her big day, how do you ensure it stays straight in the humidity?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So definitely prep. So I would say using a smoothing shampoo or conditioner, making sure that you're not just straightening the hair, but you're like blowing it out, like you're blow drying it straight. Using a anti-humidity spray. So we have the Oribe brand in salon, and they have a fantastic anti-humidity spray. You would spray that before heat styling and again after. And if you can use something like a steam pod that's going to use actually steam to straighten your hair, it's going to lock in a lot of that frizz beforehand. Again, this depends on the style you're going to do. You don't want that hair to be too flat. I love using the steam pod to remove a lot of that frizz for sure.
Good to know.
And then obviously, if you're getting married in the Caribbean in July, maybe you want to think about a plan B.
Plan B.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
What products should I bring in my wedding day bag to touch up my hair throughout the day?
Definitely talk to your hairstylist about what they recommend because sometimes like different products can interact with each other. I would say for sure, if you're going to be touching up your own hair, have some sort of very high hold hairspray, like the Got To Be, I think it's called the
yellow bottle.
The yellow bottle, yeah, that's fantastic.
Okay.
A anti-humidity spray, and if you do want something like a shine spray, like Color Wow has a almost like an aerosol shine spray that you can use as well. And I really like having something like a boar bristle brush just to make sure you're smoothing out that hair. But again, this totally depends on your final hairstyle.
Yeah, I love it. All right, Melanie, let's play a little game of Would You Rather Hair Edition.
Okay.
So, first one. Would you rather have a bride insist on an outdated 80s perm for her wedding or a groom request a full-on mohawk?
Oh my gosh, I'm going to go with the mohawk.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Really?
How
come? Is it really hard to do an 80s perm?
I just don't know that I want that to be the vision of my brand.
That's fair enough. That is totally fair enough.
And let's be real, boys, you're important because you're the only person the bride is looking at, but everyone's looking at the bride, right?
It's true.
So
no, it's true. Love it. Okay. Would you rather have to redo an entire bridal party's hair last minute because the bride changed her mind, or work with a mother of the bride who hates every style you suggest?
Oh gosh, that's really hard. I would say work with a difficult mother of the bride.
Okay.
Because I feel like the mother of the bride, if she's not happy, not that it doesn't matter, but I'd rather a happy bride than a happy mother of the bride.
Totally agree. And like having to do an entire bridal party's hair last minute would be super stressful, I would imagine.
Oh, for sure.
A low-key maybe not even do, like say there's like 10 bridesmaids, like you can't do that in an hour.
No. And I really like if brides tell me to be there for 5 a.m., I'm there at 4 a.m. Like I'm so, like to be early. Yeah, I'm early. I'm stressed that we're not going to have enough time. I book way more time than is needed. You just never know.
True. Typically, how long does the bride's hair take on average?
I usually put aside at least an hour and a half, if not 2 hours for the bride, depending on the complexity of her style.
Okay.
But I can work with a makeup artist at the same time. So while I'm because usually I'll prep their hair, curl their hair with what have it, and that will take about 30, 40 minutes. They can be doing their makeup while we're doing that or while we're finishing the hairstyle. So they don't need to be and sometimes it only takes an hour. I really like to have more than enough time for the bride.
Okay. Would you rather have a client who won't stop crying while you style their hair or one who won't stop giving you step-by-step instructions?
I think I would rather the one giving me instructions because
really?
You know what? As much as I really just like making my guests happy. Okay. That's my number one thing. I think more so than anything. So if she has this particular way, I know some stylists get mad if clients ask, can I have the straightener? Can I have the curler to curl my own bangs? I don't care. I just want my client to be happy.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. That's great. Would you rather work with a bridezilla who pays you triple or a super chill bride who tips nothing?
Oh, super chill bride, 100%.
Yeah. Easier.
You can pepper in a little bridezilla now and again though.
It makes things spicy. Why not?
No. And honestly, as a stylist, I'm a salon owner. I know this is super controversial, but I never expect a tip. Most of my clients know that I'm embarrassed to even hand them the pay pad. I'll usually turn off the option. So that whole conversation makes me super uncomfortable.
It makes you uncomfortable. Yeah. Really interesting.
Whatever I quote, this is just me. I know my hairstylist friends are going to be upset, but this is not for all hairstylists or makeup artists. But personally, the price I set that's the price. If someone feels they're so happy with my service that they want to give me extra, I'm not offended by that, but it's really not necessary. Yeah. And I know with planning a wedding, every vendor now, it kind of expects a tip. And I do think it's a little crazy out of control.
Do they expect a tip? That's a very good question, actually.
I don't know. I've heard so many different opinions on that. At one point, you're paying an extra 20% on every single service.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of money. I'll keep my controversial opinions to myself, but I definitely think as a business owner, I set my prices not expecting that extra. Okay. It's a little extra if you want to give it, but it's by no means do I ever expect it.
Okay. That's well said.
Yeah.
Well, Melanie, thank you so much for joining me today. I really had an amazing time chatting with you about hair extensions. Tell everybody where they can connect with you.
Thank you so much for having me, Adriana. This was amazing. I loved it. You can reach me on Instagram at ExtensionsMTL. Same thing on the website, ExtensionsMTL.com.
Amazing. All right. If you have any crazy horror stories that you would like us to share here on the podcast, feel free to email it at hello@weddingwednesdaypod.com. With that, please rate, review, subscribe, do all the things because it really does help our podcast. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.